I can't hear.
Good afternoon once again. Good evening to some of you. Welcome to Gainako Radio or Gainako platform, right? Flex is joining me from the Gambia again, you know, as we discussed last week. We had a discussion last week regarding, you know, some of the issues that are going on in the Gambia. So we wanted to continue that trend today. You know, this is something that we're going to be continuing on. So I have the Gainako editor, Flex on the ground joining me. Flex, thank you very much. I don't know whether you could hear that music. That was the introduction of the national anthem. I don't know if it's recorded or not, but welcome again to the platform, Flex. Thank you very much for joining me with that national jersey.
Thank you. As always, it's always a pleasure to be here with you, Demba, and always to talk about the national issues, which our dear beloved country, as you can see, I'm wearing our national jersey, and our boys are getting ready to represent us for the first time ever in the history of the Gambia. They will be going to the African Cup and be representing us there. It's such a great time to be a Gambian. And as you know, there are so many things that are happening and about to happen before the end of the year, which we certainly will get into right now today for this program. Once again,
dive into a little bit more about that tournament, that African Cup of Nations. I mean, when does it start again? Remind us.
Yes, I'm not sure exactly when it starts exactly. I'm not following it that much. However, there are some challenges which our football players have been experiencing in getting ready. As you know, there was a time when the Minister of Youth pledged some funds for the football team and they rejected it. And that funds, later on, they wanted to access the funds. They weren't given the funds. But right now, we know that our boys are also having challenge to be able to get the necessary funds to prepare as they need to for this historic competition, which they would be starting. And it's been on some certain media, QTV and the others have been airing some of this.
That's great. So I was following up on that a little bit. I mean, there was a little bit of chaos on that funds that were given to you know, the football players, and then you know, I had the minister talking about it. There was a little bit of controversy on it, but we'll delve into that. Let's dive in right into the program. Last week, discussed about the you know, the crime unit, right? The police crime unit. You know, I mean, give us an update on what happened there. I saw some reporting that you did again. You know, the police preventing the owners of that, you know, that place, like the what is that, GMMM? You know, from occupying their property or from going there. I saw that video on you. Can you give us an update on that, Flex?
Indeed. Yes, we did. We have been the main media following this story all through its turns. As we reported last week, we had visited, myself, the reporter here on the ground, had visited the former anti-crime unit at Bijilo, where we had seen that the owners had had challenge to get in. And this was probably one of the news of the week because it started on Monday when they tried to get access. They had a press conference. The media was there. The press conference was streamed live on Gainako on our Facebook. So, and also just at the end, the tail end of the press conference, security officers interrupted and started to demand that they must vacate the location, their own premises, which was legally given to them. So it was a standoff. Before you know it, a pickup full of officers had descended into the place. They just came in with their vehicle. Yes, and this sparked panic, a little bit of panic Although people were not running around or anything, it wasn't that kind of panic. But everybody was on guard. The media kept their cameras rolling. We didn't exactly catch that particular moment because we had gone off camera, but then we came back on camera and started to explain what happened. So we came back on Gainako and you could see the confrontation, the standoff live for yourself on our social media account. So we wrote a detailed report about it. What happened? The apparent owners, Global Home of Medical Mission, had a press conference. The press conference concluded, the media came, showed the whole place, how vandalized the place was. So after that, they were interrupted. A pickup full of officers came into the place, descended into the place, but there was dialogue between the owners and the police officer, the head of the police, the team there. We have his name, it's all on our report. So at the end, they had a call from higher ups. Executive order seems to be still the order of the day in this country, from what we witnessed. So the court documents is clear in that the property should be handed over. But until now, the current situation is that the owners are not allowed in with the construction material to do their work. But they've been allowing them in, not with a vehicle anymore, because the first time when we came there on Monday, they entered with their vehicles.
Right.
But now I've observed that their vehicles are not being allowed in, and their materials are not being allowed in. They are not having full possession of the property. So the issue is that, as it is, apparently the OIC are set to build a hotel there. We will confirm this with them, but we have got this information from the security officers there, positioned there, stopping the owners from entering.
So Flex, we talked about this last week. We talked about this. I mean, is the government doing an eminent domain where they're seizing this property without compensation or without due process and asking the, I mean, come on. I mean, the OIC cannot just come in and build a hotel in there, or a private investor cannot just come and build a hotel in there without due process, can they?
Well, this is Gambia. You know, executive order has been the order of the day. We've documented many of these things in the Jane Commission. Unfortunately, this property is not documented in the Jane Commission because it wasn't put under Jame's name. The owners still own the property. However, they were kicked out of the property by Yaya Jame. Yes, he chased them out of the place. And this is what we were informed. Yeah. So after he chased them out, the Green Boys took over the place. Then after a change of government in 2018, the anti-crime unit came and they were given that location. So this is how they managed to get hold of that location, and now they have vacated it. But the property is there to be claimed and the owners are claiming it. But right now they cannot get full access of it.
So Flex,
it seems like the courts, one of the next steps, which I'm aware of, is to seek a contempt of court order. Because this is a contempt of court. Nobody has the right to go against the court order in this country.
So clearly we have an assignment here. We have a work to do here, because we need to be able to reach, the OIC spokesperson, right? We need to reach the police spokesperson as well and speak to them about this issue. We can get some clarifications, and perhaps the Ministry of Interior as well, to really clarify as to what is going on here, because people are watching, but people are not paying attention to it. But this is a serious matter. It's a breakdown of.
I think more so the Ministry of Interior. There's very little to clarify with. OIC. Yeah, more so OIC need to clarify. There's very little to clarify with the Ministry of Interior. Very little to clarify with except police also.
But the police are involved, so that's why the Ministry of Interior should know something.
I understand, but no. But we need to follow this. I'm with you. What I'm saying is that Assistant IG was on the phone on that day, ordering that they should vacate that location. So that's why
they should vacate.
Yes, he was on. This is what I'm saying. That day, it was all about. You could see it. I don't know if you watched the videos.
I did. Yes.
If you watch it, you will see people were on the phone, and you will be listening carefully. AIG. And when my reporting, I report that. who apparently sounds like the AIG is on the other end of the phone. This is what we are hearing. These are the people that are involved. Then the Senegambia police station, the officers there in charge need to tell us. At the end of the day, somebody gave the last order to say that they can proceed, that they had the sheriff there. Of course, they had the sheriff there. The sheriff was the mediator.
Right.
All along, you know. But then they didn't give the sheriff the respect. They didn't, the sheriff also wouldn't take the right step. Why I said so, they were there. They didn't compel the officers to act and to even reprimand them that they will be hit with a contempt of court order if they fail to follow the court directives. I don't know if you see what I mean.
No, I see what you're saying. Yeah,
they
I see
were
what you're saying.
also,
It's an
they were
interesting
also
story.
almost complicit. You see, they were almost also like, oh no, don't worry, just go and charge them with a contempt of court order. You, the sheriff, also should be the one to even take it upon yourself that if they fail, you, the sheriff, will go to take court. They should be hit with a contempt of court order. That the police have to be in line. You know. So this is where
it's an interesting story, Flex. We will follow this story up. I mean, I know that the media is not in tune with the story, but I'm sure you're going to continue to investigate as to what's going on and give.
We were the first to get into that place.
Right.
We got into there, took photos, and we were there when the owners were trying to get in. You see, then but we getting many requests to follow up many things, but our capacity needs to improve so that we can get, and we can only do that when our supporters come on board. Right. I mean, if we manage to push this story, and this story, the owners manage to get hold of this property and provide a healthcare service in this country, in Bijilo here. Yeah. This is what we're trying to do in this country. And we really implore upon our supporters to get behind us so that we can make sure that not only can we follow this one, we can follow many other stories that can make an impact. You never know who could go there. It could be you.
So in other words, I mean, what we were saying really, I mean, you cannot be very effective as a media house without financial support, right? I mean, what we're saying there is that people need to patronize the media houses, right? Because you're doing work that interests the nation as a whole. So we're not looking for free money from individuals to donate and all that kind of stuff. If anybody can donate, that's great, right? But there's just so much we can do. But at least we can partner with businesses that want to promote their businesses, and then that way you can generate some more revenue that way, right?
Definitely.
That's what we're trying to say here. We're not begging for anybody to finance here and there, but if people want to advertise, they can advertise with us, right? It's a lot of way of supporting the media to be able to do its work, because you have to make a living. Everybody else have to make a living. You know what I mean?
Indeed.
I mean, but anyway,
it's not cheap. There are lots of running costs attached to it.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And equipment.
Yes. So, I mean, let's give us some other updates so that we can move on to the main stories. I mean, other headlines that we have for the week. What other burning issues that are going on? Obviously, there's a lot of political chatter that we're talking about. But any other headlines that are kind of interesting?
Indeed. We've seen early on Monday as well that a video of maternal mortality or poor maternal support at Bundung Medical Hospital.
Is that the Jame Foundation, right?
Yes, I believe that's the same one.
Yes.
So the issue is that they actually are performing very well. They have not had any deaths there, to make that clear, from this last month. Right. Okay. However, there is a huge congestion. The nurses are complaining. I don't know if Demba, you've seen the viral.
I saw the video. I saw the incredible.
If you watch the video, Demba, your heart will wrench out. I know the video journalist who did this, who covered this. I know him. These are young people who we work with. They have their heart in the right places. Took their cameras there, featured these nurses, 3-4 women in one bed. Some of the this to explain the situation of what is happening we need to get in there. This is why you need to come and support our media houses together with the advertisement we can bring. We want to take this further. We're already currently collaborating with Reach Out. When we saw the video, 3 to 4 women in a bed. Some of them have to sit down after giving birth. Imagine, Demba, is unbelievable.
I mean, I watched that video and I was very, very emotional about the video as well. I mean, but the incredible thing, the very, very encouraging thing, right? I mean, everything is not gloom and doom in the Gambia. And I say that citizens are taking it upon themselves, right? Citizens are taking upon themselves to expose what is going on, to be whistleblowers, really to demand, in this country here, right? Employers cannot do whatever they want because, and we're beginning to see that. We saw the University of the Gambia students were out there demanding, the government come out. And what did the government do? They brought in bosses, right? And supported them. We saw bosses at RVTH and other doctors protesting as well. Citizens are taking upon themselves and saying, if you're not doing this, then we're going to expose this. And I think that is just incredible. I mean, citizens are brave enough, to be able to stand there. And that credit doesn't go to anybody. It goes to the citizens. It's not about fear or non-fear. It's about, your heart being passionate about what you're doing, as your profession, and saying, we're not going to be able to do this, or exposing to the world what is happening in these hospitals, like the Jame Foundation Hospital. I heard the lady talking about 3 women sharing a bed. Imagine the level of infection that is
with their babies.
And you're bringing in all these ambulances and all that kind of stuff, the basic necessities that we need to address in this, and that hospital seems to be doing really well. They had like what, over 600, they talk about over 600 deliveries, right? Not a single day.
Not in a single day in a month.
In a month, that's what I mean. They didn't have a death, like they passed away, right? During that time, at least, among those numbers.
Of course.
I mean, it's really a template that need to be supported, right? I'm very, very worried about that, and I think things are going to change eventually. Gambians are going to stand up and say, we're not going to accept this anymore. We have seen the water protesters, right? People saying, hey, we don't have any water, so where is our taxpayers' money? Where, who is doing what? Who is in charge of what? And tell us a little bit more about obviously the victims march as well. Flex, let's move on to that as well.
Indeed, that's also another big talking point. Well, the victims march on the 16th of October, which is this Saturday.
Next Saturday, yes.
Never Again March, Saturday 16, 2021, for the victims to demand the implementation of the TRRC report. We do know that the TRRC report has been delayed on 2 occasions now. Nobody knows when it will be finalized now as it is, because they haven't given a date. So this is to also further highlight the situation that the victims find themselves in. Reparations have not been paid. Government promised 50 million, another 50 million. They only gave 150 million. The second 50 million hasn't been forthcoming. So reparations is not coming to most of them fully yet. Justice is being hampered by the NPP-APRC alliance. The government has not, at least President Barrow, he has not made it clear what the agreement is. What does it include? Is there amnesty for Jame? What is going to happen? How is this going to play out when the report comes? We know APRC have openly protested against this report on the commission,
right,
calling it a toilet paper, that it should be thrown to the bin. And we've seen SFL is running. So it promises to be a very, very important week ahead. Tomorrow, we will be live at the Victim Center, where SFL is supposed to meet the victims at 11 a.m. on Gainako.
So Flex, really, really very, very interesting things are happening, especially this week. We've seen, obviously, mentioned, I was just talking about this just now, where groups are taking upon themselves, like the Women's March, Women's Life Matter March, right? The police IGP denied them permit, and then there was a lot of noise made on social media and other places, and then eventually they were giving a permit to march. Now we have the Victim Center, also, the victims marching on the 16th, which is Saturday, this Saturday that's coming, right? I mean, and that coincided with the UN, being a press statement, a very, very strong statement saying, the finding of the TRRC must be executed. And this is very, very important for us to talk about, because Remember, the TRRC, yes, it was initiated by this government, but the funding for the TRRC is supported by the international community, by the African Union and the ECOWAS and all that kind of stuff, right? So the government is not alone on this, and UN release. It's very, very timing. Obviously, it coincides with Barrow's incredible visit to Jammeh. Let's talk about that a little bit, Flex, because that is just it looks like it's a political suicide to me. It looks like to me.
Now, what you are going to see from now on is people will be visiting the different, you could say, Jammeh family, Kanilai, etc., APRC, showing solidarity with them, whilst others, starting from tomorrow, you will see also, because of UDP and Citizens Alliance, had visited the victim center. If you pay attention, not too long ago,
right,
in July or August. Now, President Barrow has also not visited the victim center much. I think only once, when the German representative was coming. Right. So they had it in their itinerary to go and visit the victim center, and he ensured that he visited them quickly before that. So since then, we haven't seen. So Demba, what you will see is this clear. I wouldn't want to say division, but this is what it is.
Right.
People are aligning themselves. Are you aligning yourself with the victims, where you are saying never again, let's turn our back against human rights violations and any more of this happening again? You go and visit the victims, show solidarity with them, pledge to implement the TRRC report, or you say, no, it's time for reconciliation. We are going to go and talk to the Jammeh people and try to make sure that we win the next election. Because for us, that is what the reconciliation is all about. Because after this whole thing happens, and then what happens? We move on forward, the TRRC report will probably not be implemented by this current Barrow government. From the signs that they are showing, they are ready to align themselves with those who are not showing any remorse towards the victims, and those who are claiming that the TRRC report should be flushed in the bin.
So that's what I was talking about, Flex. I mean, there is simply no way that the TRRC report would be thrown in the dustbin. I think what Barrow is trying to do here is to buy time. And it is incredible. I mean, the political amateurism that he's playing, it's incredible. Yes, politicians would always play politics, right? But I wrote about this very, very seriously. And I said, even when Jammeh's mom died, okay, may her soul rest in peace. Even when Jammeh's mom died and she was brought back in the country, Barrow did not visit Jammeh's family. He did not visit Jammeh's family. When those citizens were killed in Faraba, Barrow did not visit their families. When citizens were killed in Sanya, Barrow did not visit those families. How many people died in the country? Barrow never visited those people, really. And then, for you to come in and so blatantly just insult to everybody, and just the whole world is watching you. You go to Jammeh's family, and when he went to Jammeh's family, he did not inquire about Haruna Jammeh and Masi Jammeh and all those victims, who were killed by the Jammeh regime. He did not inquire about those people. What Barrow is playing is really, really so much, blatant political, opportunism that Gambian people are watching. And I was watching a video, because I know he's trying to mobilize the APRC, people who are resistant to the alliance. Because I was listening to one of their National Assembly members on a video this morning. I think it was produced about maybe a week or two ago, something like that, who are talking about, how Barrow said on record that he alone cannot decide whether Jammeh should come back to the Gambia or not. The National Assembly member was saying that you APRC folks, you seen what Barrow is doing, that clearly Barrow is playing politics in this situation. And I can guarantee you, the United Nations, Senegal, and all these other countries would not sit down and see Barrow doing the nonsense that he's doing. Flex, I have to continue to highlight this. Go ahead.
There is a loophole.
Yeah.
And I think sometimes maybe we might be underestimating Barrow.
Right.
If the information we are getting is correct, because these delays are undermining the legitimacy of the TRRC.
I understand.
You understand?
Agree.
Currently, what's happening itself could be what will derail this TRRC. If the information we get is correct, yeah, that is to say that some of the commissioners, at least 2, are compromised. And currently engaging with the president outside their official duties on this TRRC. We are in for trouble.
But Flex, I mean,
this is why even us as the media have to hold this TRRC accountable. Absolutely. To ensure that they also don't sully this process. In doing so, what will they do? Demba, before the ball is kicked, they can already give these people an angle to rubbish this whole process. Can you see where I'm coming from? And this is why I believe that even us, our job, and I know it's a difficult to line to toe. I try very carefully to toe that line, to support the TRRC, but to also hold them accountable.
Yes, absolutely.
And oftentimes, we shouldn't mistake the two. So I think sometimes now we are getting to that stage.
So, but Flex, the TRRC consists of 11 commissioners. Is that correct?
Sorry?
The TRRC consists of 11 commissioners.
Yes.
So, I mean, we're already, there's 16 volumes of reports. So the bulk of the TRRC work is already in place. They're just finishing up 4 more, right?
That's what it's been. So they might
No, I mean, so we don't know why it is taking so long. But to me,
they haven't told us the people. All what we are hearing is this thing that I'm telling you, that there are 2 commissioners who are engaging with the executive.
But those people I don't think they can derail the rest of, because if the commissioners were to vote, right, on what needs to go forward, I don't think those 2 people can, this is not a jury where, you get a hung jury, right, where 1 or 2 votes can derail the whole process.
With all these things, okay, I know our job is the media and we're supposed to bring out everything that's happening. With all these things that are happening, these people are running a commission. There is a workplace. They are also working in a report, which they have to agree with. So if you have some people there who are compromising that process, delaying, and also towing the interest of apparently that they are trying to ensure that some people are not implicated. Do you see where I'm coming from?
I understand where you're coming from. Yeah.
And maybe this is what part of the delay that we are seeing, because of some people in there also will not accept that.
But Flex, really, I mean, I have confidence in the TRRC. Okay, there's people in the TRRC that cannot be corrupted. I mean,
remember, from what we have seen, this TRRC,
like Dr. Adelis,
the TRRC is unraveling. Let's be very frank. It has been unraveling for a while now. If we haven't observed it, we need to be very observant. Me, I'm very observant. Since when?
I agree with you, but let me put this point across. I mean, what I think...
I think we need to highlight this. The lead counsel has stepped aside. And the Secretary General, this is just incredible. Both of them have come out clearly to say that they wanted to run.
No, I mean, Flex, I mean...
It's incredible. One of them has already since then resigned before the commission has ended. Yeah, and even before the commission has submitted its report, he has put his hat in the race to run. And then, I mean, now what do we have? Delays upon delays. Now the commission is not even talking to the public. They are not even having their press conference to explain what is going on. So many things which they have promised us. We have published it on Gainako that they promised to release figures on the reparations and how much they are going to give. Verbatim, out of respect and courtesy. Still not. We called them, followed them. I know other journalists who are calling them, following them to give us this information. They are not.
So I promise to bring on, I promise to have an interview with Dr. Baba Gale Jallow. I'll reach out to him. I haven't reached out to him, honestly. but I'm going to reach out to him. He's a friend of this network. We're going to reach out to him and we're going to have an interview with him.
We're going to break down. Tomorrow, we are going to have what I believe will also be another clue, together with what you are trying to do. SRFAL will be coming to the victim center. We will question him also. Hopefully he answers our questions. And we find out what is really happening tomorrow. I think that will be very worthwhile.
I think we have a lot of work to do here. I mean, I think media in the Gambia, this is why sometimes people are kind of skeptical of the work that we do in Gambia, right? You know, media is more or less interested in, in the fanfare and then, the political gimmicks and all that, instead of getting to the substance of things that really affects our situation in the country. So by now, the media should be reaching out to Dr. Sise, and to maybe the deputy chairperson, Mrs. Adele Sose. The media should be reaching out to the,
this is what I'm trying to tell you. We put them under pressure so many times. But
but we need to reach out to them and have a conversation.
As part of this unraveling, what I see as the unraveling of the TRRC, their modus operandi has changed. I don't know if you see what I'm coming from.
Flex, I want to make one thing very clear. I think we as citizens shouldn't mix the two. The TRRC had a mandate. And the TRRC had different components. They have the lead council, they have the commissioners. The lead council is not part of the commissioners. The executive secretary, Babakale Jallow is not part of the commissioners. The commissioners has their own work and they're the people and they have expertise, expertise that were hired, that were being paid by the UN and other agencies to be able to put together a report, right? But just because SRFAL and others have, jumped into the political race, that should not influence what the decision of the TRRC is. Because SRFAL would submit his recommendation. Dr. Babakale Jallow would. So, I mean, people are trying to mix the two so they can have a more,
No, it's not like you say. Huh? The TRRC is a political process.
It's a political tool. I understand that. Yes.
It's a political process, not just a tool. Yes. It's a political process. It's a very precarious political process.
Right.
I think we need to go and check whether any other commission, truth commission, has had their lead counsel jump into the presidential race like this. This is unprecedented.
But it shouldn't affect the decision of the TRRC. That's what I'm trying to.
But it will. It shouldn't. It shouldn't. I agree.
Yes. And so explain to me how it would. We don't want to argue about this, but explain how do you think SRFAL's decision to jump into the race would affect any decision that would come out of the TRRC itself, not Barrow's implementation of it, but how does SRFAL's decision to run for office, how does that affect the outcome of the decision of the TRRC?
So I think, first of all, as I said, it's a political issue. Yeah, you understand. You need political will to implement this TRRC.
Yeah, but that is not SRFAL and other.
I'm coming.
It's the executive.
Don't worry. Just give me a chance.
Okay.
We have seen the CRC has been scrapped or coma. That's the official one. It's on coma. In fact, I have an exclusive interview which I have conducted with the CRC. We are laser focused on the reform agenda and we are following all this reform. We will put up special editorial. Jane Commission has been implemented selectively. This friend is not included. That friend has been dealt with. What else? Electoral reforms has been put to the sideline. You see, if I can continue, I'm sure there's one I'm missing. Security sector reforms is also slipping. Economic is still here. We haven't got our reforms on the security side sorted.
But don't be distracted. Don't be distracted, though. Don't be distracted.
Yeah, so what I'm trying to highlight is that the executive has already been showing a reluctance to implement reforms.
Okay, I understand that. So that's a different level.
No, yeah. So I'm coming from that top down. You understand? Then now, the last one, which will break the camel's back, if they don't implement this TRRC, remember.
No, that's Flex. You answer the question that I asked you earlier, right? Yeah. How does SRFAL's decision to jump into the race right?
Political will.
How does that affect, the decision of the TRRC, or the TRRC report? How does that affect it? That's what I want to know.
Yes, it's a moral issue. No. It's a moral issue. First of all, the TRRC is not, according to the, if you look at the protest from the APRC, what they have been putting, their banners show clear. The TRRC is not a political contest. You understand? Yeah? It's not a popularity contest.
Yes.
Yeah? It's not a race for presidents.
Yes.
The fact is that SFR cannot be separated from the TRRC.
Why not?
This is where the Gambian people knew him.
What
so,
this is?
Yes,
this,
no, let me get there. Let me get to the end. Let me get to the end.
Ahead.
This is how the Gambian people knew him. Yeah. Now, him running into the presidential race has now politicized the TRRC. This is, and so soon, yeah, even before the commission report has been accepted, and even before the implementation. So it's not an ideal scenario. This is what I'm trying to highlight. It's not an ideal scenario.
Let me come in. Can I just come in there?
SFR hasn't done anything illegal. He has the legal authority to run for the presidency, like any Gambian. The issue is that it's a moral issue, whereby he should have waited so that not to bring the TRRC into the presidential race so head on like this. Yeah.
So this is where I think we have a fundamental problem as a nation, right? We cannot separate institutions from individuals.
Okay.
Major problem. We cannot separate institution from individual. The TRRC as an institution is not SFR. It's not supposed to be SFR. If SFR gets fame from, by virtue of his work from the TRRC, Flex, if you should be separated from Gainako as well. And we try to morally communicate this all the time. You as an individual, I as an individual, Demba, should be separated from the Gainako as an entity.
That's an ideal situation. What you are saying?
Well, ideal situation is not something that
Demba.
You agree with me? I see the moral. I see the cost.
I want us to.
No, hang on. Let me finish. I understand that opponents will always seize the opportunity and say SFR has used the TRRC to jumpstart, his president election. But at the end of the day, right, SFR's decision should not affect what the decision of the TRRC to report to the president. That's what I'm trying to separate clearly here. And any informed Gambian must see it that way, that if SFR were to pass away today, how would it affect the TRRC? If Dr. Babagale Jallow were not to be seen today, how would that affect the TRRC? So people have to look at this thing in a more intelligent way, right? Yes, I know the opponents are always going to say, oh, he's a politician now he's, and they try to use it against him and against the TRRC. But APRC have always been opposed to the TRRC, with or without SFR running for president. Dr. Babagale Jallow resigning, they've always been against it. They're against the IEC. We have to be able to get to a level where we can separate, the institution from individuals, right? Now, let me just land in there. The conclusion is, to me, it is the responsibility of us citizens to put pressure on the TRRC to complete its report and submit it to the president. And it is also our responsibility and the executive responsibility to implement the TRRC report. And I can guarantee you one thing: the Nations report, the UN press release that just came out a couple of days ago, is not a coincidence. It's a direct communication, a direct message to Barrow.
And there's a reason why they are saying
what you're doing.
There's a reason why they are saying those things. If you see them saying those things, that means that the TRRC is in serious jeopardy.
It is, but you know what? The international community is not going to let this go.
But what I'm trying to highlight here,
trying to buy more time.
I don't think you are getting me. Me and you, if it was a Gambia where we had people who were to our level, we're talking about Gambia here.
Come on.
Okay?
It always makes me sad for us to downgrade.
No, it's not about downgrade. It's a fact. It's the fact. Even in America, some of the things that they do there, you'll be surprised, you'll be shocked whether this is even Africa or even America. Look at the Americans. They went to Capitol Hill and they shot and they did all kinds of crazy things there.
I know. So that's what I'm saying.
So what I'm trying to highlight, the same crazy things apply, even worse in Africa. I'm trying to highlight that this process, this is an emotional process. It's a very emotional process. It's a highly charged process with SFR running or not running.
Exactly.
We are unearthing homes. We are bringing out the skeletons from the closet. I don't know if you see where I'm coming from.
No, I see what exactly. I see what you're coming from. That's why I want to separate the two.
I agree with you, ideally, but this is not going to happen ever. Even in the even in the country that has the perfect system, going through a transitional process is the most emotional process a country will go through. It can make and break.
So let me just make a point on here, and I talked about this all the time, right? If you look at the Rwandan, Paul Kagame Day, right? Reconciliation goes with accountability.
Exactly.
And responsibility as well. So people have to take responsibility of what happened and what they did, right? They have to also be held accountable. Flex, we cannot heal. We cannot force, forgiveness in people's throats.
Thank you.
On the speech that I made, that our healing is based on our common interest. Like we have to hold people accountable for what they did. We have to take responsibility. Accountability, sticks and carrots is what we call it in here, right? We have to give you sticks and carrots. We have to hold you accountable, and at the same time, we learn from our mistakes. Listen, there's a reason why people swore to out of office to take out of office. For it. If there's no accountability, nobody is held accountable, then what's the point? That's what I'm saying. They can preach all the reconciliation, and I knew about this. I started talking about this since the TRRC started. The focus for a lot of people was reconciliation. Let's forget about what happened. Personal responsibility. Why would people not be held accountable? Already people that are held accountable. See, even the US, right? There's a reason why the US even sold James Manson. They sold James Manson over in Kanilai. They're holding him accountable. Zainab is banned for life, criminally liable for stealing all that money in the Gambia. There is personal accountability here that we need to do. But anyway, let's go back to what Barrow is doing. I can guarantee you this. Barrow is trying to buy time until he wins the elections. When he wins the elections, he's going to capitulate to the UN, to the ECOWAS, to all these institutions. And I listened to the video about the APRC. APRC is so incredible. I mean, the writings are on the wall that Barrow is trying to use them to get to the election, to win the election, and then they're going to regret it for the rest of their life. This guy, the National Assembly member for APRC, he said, look at what Barrow did to the very party that brought him into power. What did he do to them? Those people, why do you think he cannot jump? And you know what he said? He said him alone cannot decide in Jammeh coming. When Jammeh decided Jawara to come home, did anybody stop him? No institution, the UN and everybody else, stop Jawara from coming home or Jammeh from forgiving Jawara. Why would Barrow say, I cannot make a decision for Jammeh to come home? It's on the wall. If people are not dumb and they can see it happening in the APRC, they should see these things happening. What is your opinion on that? I mean, Barrow's political amateurism is really so mind-boggling. It's just APRC should see it for what it is. Vote for him if you want, but vote for him at your own detriment. You know that without the APRC alliance right now, with the hope of that he had, Barrow would have not even contested for this election because he absolutely has no base. Go ahead, Flex.
I will take another approach just to balance things.
That's the lovely thing about it.
Two sides.
Right.
I'll give you a perspective of what has been happening here in this country in the past week.
Okay.
President Barrow has been opening bridges, Samba Bridge, and many other infrastructure projects.
Yes.
So currently, he is flexing his development projects, which he has brought to the Gambian people. The media has been invited to go there. We knew a lot of other media houses on Gainako. We knew a lot of other media houses would cover it, and we had a lot of other important, engagements which we covered. So Right now in Gambia, I want to just highlight that the visit has certainly soured a lot of the victims, especially coming to this protest, which is coming on Saturday.
Right.
There is that element, but regardless, there's also the other camp who believe that this is a positive thing. People, I wouldn't say it's political amateurism. I would say in this Gambian context, it's it's self-perpetuation. Yeah, it's just the executive trying to cling onto power. And
I was gonna put it that way. I was gonna put it that way. Let me go ahead and let me put a perspective into this.
Yeah, because of the reason why is that President Barrow is actually playing his cards selfishly right. He is not worried about the victims. He thinks that probably they're a small minority of Gambians. He seems to believe that the APRC support is all he needs to waltz his way into State House. He also has other parties behind him. And I'm sure he's looking to go into coalition with some other parties. And if you think about it, Demba, GDC is now the kingmaker in a way. Who do you think GDC will most likely go with coalition with? NPP or UDP?
None of them.
You think so?
Yes.
So you think GDC will go alone?
I think GDC would go alone. I think GDC.
What makes you believe so?
I don't believe that Mama Kande is in a position to align with Barrow. There is too much has happened with them for Mama to go with Barrow. And I think it will be detrimental for the UDP, to align with Mama Kande.
And you think it will also be detrimental for UDP to align with Mama Kande?
Yes.
Why?
You know what happened in Yamina, right?
Yes.
So what happened in Yamina was that that technical, quote unquote, technical alliance, right? Where UDP decided they would rather back they would not put a candidate there to contest.
Did they have that agreement in Namina?
No, there was no agreement. It's not. Sometimes sometimes unspoken words are more clear than spoken allowances. I know a lot of Fula people in Yamina. Flex, let me tell you this. Okay, they would rather vote for Barrow than vote for UDP. It's unfortunate. If Kande were to ally with Barrow with UDP today, guess what's going to happen? Those people would capitulate to go and vote for Barrow. So I would have Mama Kande contest on his own, or maybe join with Halifa and others. Right? Join with Halifa and others, rather than joining UDP or joining Barrow. They would not join Barrow. I'm 100% sure about that. Mama Kande would not join Barrow. Maybe he would have a party. Between Mama Kande and let me explain to you something about the road that Barrow is playing. Flex. We saw what he did in the Gambia. Jammeh built road. That's the politics of it. It's easy to go take a loan and come and build these roads. As the headline says the other day, there is China-backed bridges. I tell you, there is a bigger problems in the Gambia than infrastructure problem in the country, Flex. The governing problem in the Gambia. There is crimes in the Gambia. There is corruption everywhere in the Gambia. The easiest thing you can do is to go and build a road.
But the reality, I was providing you a different perspective.
I know, I understand your perspective. But
what the executive has is the luxury of GRTS. The QTV is also doing even a better job.
I understand all that.
And their campaigning starts now. And they are not just campaigning with promises. Barrow is currently campaigning with these bridges.
Well, some of these bridges were not even initiated by Barrow.
No, but people don't know that.
The same guy. This was the same guy who said, you do anything when you are campaigning, and then when you become president, then you do.
He's doing it. He's true to his word. Very true.
No, he's not. I mean, he's actually no. He's been very, very deceptive. One of the most deceptive.
So what I mean, he's true to his word in that perspective that you can say whatever you want to say during campaign time, and that's what he has been doing.
That is a slap on the face for any intelligent person.
He's telling pretty much.
You know, that is a slap in the face for any intelligent person.
I know, it is. And you know, this is one of the biggest challenge, this sort of domination which the executive has, that we don't separate NPP with the current government. So President Barrow always will make his speech and he will politicize everything.
Yes.
He will talk about his...
That's where the citizens need to be aware. You know, APRC right now, APRC is saying all the crimes that were committed were not committed by APRC. That's what APRC argument is, that all the crimes that were committed by Jammeh, and nobody could ever separate APRC from Jammeh. APRC was Jammeh and Jammeh was APRC. And they, Fabakary Tombong Jatta and others, were not ordinary citizens, as I mentioned. He was a majority leader for over 10 years. Right? So these people are, you know, the same thing Barrow is doing right now. He's using government funds, and it is the responsibility of the opposition to go ahead and inform the people about that. Listen, a lot of incumbents have lost elections in Africa now. You know, and a lot of incumbents have lost, and Barrow knew right now, he knew that the APRC is divided. It's divided between supporting him and not supporting. And you know why Jammeh is quiet? You know he's smarter than that. You know he's calculating his cards and saying, you know what? He's looking for a spot where he's going to say, you know what? I've never been part of this alliance. Jammeh knows that these people are trying to sell his soul. You know the Ghanaians are going to come after Jammeh. You know the UN is going to come after Jammeh. The US is going after Jammeh already. You know Senegal is not going to sleep and then wait for...
The ones that are not going after Jammeh. Huh? The Ghanaians are going after Jammeh.
The Ghanaians are going to go after Jammeh.
The Ghanaians are not joking with this guy.
I'm telling you, and not only the Ghanaians, the human rights is going to go after Jammeh. So why do you think Jammeh is going to allow, you know, Jammeh is just going to close his eyes and then come to Kanilai? Senegal is going to allow Jammeh.
No, about Jammeh, I think that's another, for those who believe Barrow and all that, think about that Barrow is going to guarantee that, they are living a dream.
Exactly.
The moment that Jammeh steps onto any soil which these laws are in place, he's in serious trouble.
He's never going to step a foot in Gambia. I can guarantee.
There are only some few countries that he can dare step his foot on, where this international criminal court sanction stuff does not apply. If that's the case, he is gone. But what I'm trying to highlight is the politics of Barrow.
The politics is amateurist. It is very, very the Fonyi folks right now, what Barrow is doing is purely politics. And Fonyi, as long as they don't hear from Jammeh, and I can guarantee that Jammeh is most likely not going to speak. Did you hear the audio from General Baji or whatever they call him?
That's not him, apparently.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's an alleged that it is him.
Yeah, I've heard that it's not him.
Don't take anything out.
We live in a day and age of disinformation.
Flex, as long as Jammeh did not speak to Fonyi people, right, and tell them exactly where he stands, there is a wishy-washy in this, and already there is a big internal fight between Rambo and others. You know, Rambo and Fabakary Tombong Jatta, they sold the soul of the APRC to Barrow, and I can guarantee you this: if Barrow wins, you and I, perhaps our life is not going to change that much. We're going to continue to do what we're doing, right? But I can guarantee you this: come December, Barrow wins elections in Gambia, I can guarantee you that APRC will be fried dry. Some members of the APRC, their leadership, their executive may have some positions, or maybe, but Barrow cannot. He cannot unilaterally allow Jammeh to come back to the Gambia. And the APRC folks are seeing that. I can tell you that Barrow is in jeopardy. That's why he's doing all this alliance. And it's so blatant. Any intelligent person can see what he's doing, the politics that he's doing. As I mentioned again, when Jammeh's mom died, National Assembly members died in Gambia. Barrow never visited those families. He never visited those families. When he went to Kanilai, he never visited Mercy, Jammeh, and others in our family. He never inquired about those people. The world is seeing what Barrow is doing. And I can tell you, this is going to be a jeopardy for him. A lot of people don't believe it. No, a lot of people did not believe that Jammeh was going to lose the elections in Gambia. The majority of Gambians did not believe that he was going to lose the elections in Gambia. But watch what's going to happen here. Gambians are beginning to be awake. I can tell you that. That incumbent infrastructure and all that, I can tell you, that is in jeopardy, and he knows it. And look at the infighting that's happening in his camp. Look at all the infighting, because these are opportunistic people that are not there for the country. They're just there for themselves.
Of course.
The role of the media here is really, let's go back to this. The role of the media here is really to continue to hold these institutions accountable. Be able to separate the individual from the institution. That is our role as the media. The media go after the TRRC. Go ahead, Flex.
That will definitely go on. I think we've definitely delivered this topic. Just to end it with a statement that for the Never Again March,
yes,
we published this, shared the information on our Facebook. Every Gambian has a role to play to achieve the Never Again slogan. If government pays reparations to every victim, which it hasn't, delivers justice to every victim, which it hasn't, and yet still, you and I, the Gambian people, fail to empathize with the victims, the Never Again slogan will never be achieved. So come and march with the victims at the Never Again March and donate to this worthy cause. The time has come to show solidarity with all victims of human rights violations. Saturday, October 16th, 2021, time 10 a.m., venue, Post Office, March to Westfield Monument. Come,
Flex, let me dwell a little bit more on this. Where decent Gambians has to join this march. Not about the UDP, it's not about the APRC, it's not about Barrow, it's not about anybody else, it's about the victims, it's about what happened to our people. It's about all those older men and women in Fonyi who were giving, connection drinks, whose rights were violated. If you are a child or a child of those people who were giving those things in Gambia, then this march is for you. If you are a victim, if you are a neighbor, if you are a classmate, if you are a co-worker, if you have an auntie or an uncle that was victimized by the former regime, this march is for you. If you are a civilized Gambian, you are a decent Gambian that can differentiate between justice and injustice, this march is for you. You go out there and you march, and it's not about anybody else. It's not about any political party. It is about us as a people. It's about our conscience. It's about our civilization as a people. It's about right and wrong. That's what's happening. And what you're saying is like the government that we elect, and I mentioned this, that it was our own government that went after our people and crucified our people. That government need to be held accountable. The people who are in charge need to be held accountable. We can reconcile as a nation when justice is done and is seen to be done. This march is for everybody, and Gambians should come out in large numbers and march for this. Anybody worthy of salt should be coming out and marching for these victims.
Indeed. Indeed.
I mean, give me an update on the CSOs. What is the CSO's role on this march? Like the Tango, obviously other CSO leaders. What is the Yanama, all that?
They are the organizers together with the Victim Center, which we will be streaming from live tomorrow of this march. They have been providing logistics and all the support that is needed. T-shirts will be available, drinks, water, so that people will not be too dehydrated. And there is a lot of publicity efforts that is taking place. I thought we could, besides that, one thing which is also impacting on civil society is that the IEC and the media, IEC held a meeting last week with the members of the civil society and the media. And they were talking about the nomination process, which Demba, I'm sure you are very interested in. Just to highlight, we asked some questions as Gainako. We asked 4 pertinent questions which can help. The first question was about the differences in the first preliminary voter register after the end of the whole registration process. The IEC noted that they had some 987,000 voters on the register. 2 weeks back, that was in September, mid-September, the IEC highlighted that it was now 962,000. Some 25,000 voters had been removed from the voters register. We were the media house who calculated and checked this and got back to them. Others missed this important point. The Gambians started asking, and some were concerned, have we been removed from the voters register? We made sure we asked the IEC this question. Very important question, because lots of people are concerned. Second question was to ask the IEC if there would be sufficient time for the journalists and the citizens to observe the scrutiny of candidates. We know that there is going to be an unprecedented number of candidates. I believe all our previous elections has been about 3 presidential candidates that have been confirmed. The citizenry wanted to know whether sufficient time would be allowed for this process to be done and to scrutinize their candidates. The third question which we asked was about a video of a man holding a bag full of voters' cards. This video went viral, and this man was at a rally showing the voters' cards which he had. God knows what he intended to do with it. Whether the IEC would be willing to issue a statement, at least deterring citizens from this practice, and also highlighting the consequences if found wanting doing such activities, gathering people's voters' cards. Then the fourth question we asked, because Demba, these are things, if people don't get their voters' card, people can't turn up to vote. It affects the voter turnout. Or if people get this voters' card, they use these voters' cards, they fill the nomination for these candidates. You see, these are all things which are happening. And the fourth and final question, and then we will start and discuss and talk about some of the responses. The IEC chairperson has said that this December will be the last elections using marbles. Is the IEC really ready to implement ballot paper voting as soon as April 2022, just around the corner, National Assembly elections?
Well, I mean, I think they are talking about election cycle. So this is the election cycle. The National Assembly is part of this election cycle. So I think we're talking about this election cycle. So the marbles would be used for the National Assembly as well. And then the next election cycle is what they're talking about, because the National Assembly is part of this election cycle. So, but let me ask you a question, interesting question, Flex.
I think, Demba, wait, let's be very clear on that.
Yeah.
If the electoral, you know, there is currently an electoral law, which I am following on the National Assembly.
Yeah.
It was this national electoral law which was on the table at the National Assembly and at the committee, where I made a speech for the diaspora.
Yes.
You remember that speech?
Yes.
Which I did. I published it also on our Gainako page. So if the bill is passed and becomes an act, the moment it passes and becomes an act, and it says ballot papers in there, that's what we are going to vote by.
No, but let me make it clear.
I mean, I don't know. It's about the law.
Yeah,
it's
but
about
let's make it clear. Let's make it clear here. There cannot be any amendment to the electoral laws 6 months before the election. So that bill, that not be acted on.
No, is that in paper? That's not written in paper.
No, that is written on the Constitution. It's on the Constitution. That is not.
No. I challenge you to bring that. I don't think that that's written in paper. That is something which even the ECOWAS protocol has agreed that once all parties agree that this change is needed, even 6 months after, yeah, the election still goes.
So let me ask you a question, Flex. If a bill was passed by the National Assembly, the timelining, I mean, it doesn't have to be spelled out clearly on the Constitution for that to be happen, right? If we look at the timelining, when the National Assembly act on a bill, the bill has to be gadgeted, right, for another 30 days, and the president has to assent on it, right? I mean, yes. So I mean, the timeline. The timeline is what disqualifies this in any act of this.
No, Demba, don't get it twisted, please.
Okay.
The moment it is assented, the date it is assented, the IEC, let's remember, they are mandated to conduct elections according to the laws of the Gambia.
I know, but then what I'm telling you is that the National Assembly is not going to.
You know, like, I agree the whole gazetting process might take time, and if it doesn't come into effect before the April elections, or if it comes to effect very, very close, the IEC will say, no, we are going to go ahead with the current laws because there will be a lacuna. People don't understand the new laws. They don't have it available. One can have that sort of loophole. But the fact is that the IEC is mandated by law to conduct the elections according to the laws of the land.
Yeah, and the laws of the land right now, Flex, the laws of the land right now is the 1997 Constitution.
Exactly. Yes.
So I can guarantee you that there will not be any more amendment to the electoral laws before the elections now or the National Assembly.
No, but this is the reason why me as the journalist, I have to ask, because the IEC chairperson said that this is the last elections.
Election cycle. So election cycle, you have to understand the election cycle.
No, don't get it wrong. We quoted this and we published it on Gainako. Check it, Demba.
Okay.
It's there very clearly. We quoted him. He said this is the last elections. You understand? If he means election cycle, he can explain that, and we will take that.
Okay.
You understand?
Yeah, no, I mean, I'm not going to dwell anymore on that. I think it is explicitly clear on that. But let me ask you a question. You know, when the elections were over, when the registrations were over, the national master voter registration was supposed to be displayed in every registration centers to scrutinize and then, you know, to decide, right, if their names were on it or not.
Yes. Correct.
So has there been any scrutiny? Is this 25,000 part of those who are displayed or not displayed?
So,
has anybody, any political party followed up on that?
No. The political parties are too busy politicking, campaigning.
What about the citizens?
The citizens, only the, and it's causing a rift. In fact, we have a very powerful story coming. If you watch the citizens are the civil society, let's say civil society, because I count them as citizens.
Right.
The civil society are the only ones which wanted to take this up, and that was the Banjul mayor thing. They were following it up, but they were late. Apparently, they went to a lower court and they dropped it in the end. So what we are having is that there's a lot of slander accusation about how the process was run. Young people who are underage, people who are non-Gambians, etc., etc. But unfortunately, none of them have been held or charged. So, or, you know, at least gone to the revising court to sort of say that so-and-so is underage, so-and-so is not a Gambian. We have their information, check, and then they could be removed from the register. That hasn't happened. The parties haven't done it. To be very frank, it's the parties who should be taking that up, because they are the ones who were making the noise about that. Any citizen who has raised it up, there hasn't also happened, but the CSO.
Let me ask you another question. Are you aware?
Let me get to it. There's an important aspect to it.
Right.
The IEC have been accused for not raising sensitization about this. There was delay for the posting, like you said, of the information. Then when they put up this information on the polling station, because I remember there was delay, I was engaged in the IEC and they were saying that they are working on it. They were delayed. They did finally work on it. Some people came and they started ripping these things down. I don't know if you remember that. So there are many issues which also affected the whole issue, the whole system. So this was.
Can you verify that the master registers were displayed at registration polling stations?
They were displayed because they were being torn down.
They were being what?
Station, wherever the people, is not the master register. Whatever the people, because the master register is 967,000, 62,000 right now.
But it's after the registration, it should be displayed.
No, that's not what the law says, Demba. The law says the registers of that polling station. So if 100 people registered in this polling station, that 100 will be posted there.
Yeah, but that's the master registration in other words. I mean,
Demba, don't confuse it. That's not the master register. The master register is all of them.
I know.
That's the register for the polling station. You understand? So what happens is the process was derailed. I'm trying to build it up so that you can understand what had happened and the whole failure of the system. and the people that are in the system, those holding them all account. The IEC was late to do the postings. One, when they did the postings, some all ill-intentioned Gambians were ripping the papers off the polling stations. And this was reported widely. Froya did an editorial on this.
It was citizens that were doing that.
Yeah, it's some scrupulous people. You can know because you didn't catch them on the act. So this all during the process. IEC also were very tight-lipped. Why? To some extent, I can report when they were invited to go to some of the CSOs, their sensitization about the whole process. Because of you can see us, Demba. Even today, I was on a radio station, and I'm usually on the radio station sensitizing the Gambian masses. Yeah, when we are doing that, so that the people can know what to do, and this is part of our responsibility. The IEC is not doing that. They are not sensitizing the people. They are not telling the people what to do to challenge this. And then finally, and because the IEC didn't want that, because they already had a court challenge in court, they had already tasted defeat from the civil society. So they were actually, in my view, they were tightly. They didn't do their job. So now, what happened? People didn't know about it. They couldn't see the polling stuff. And then eventually, the citizens didn't challenge. And then the parties didn't challenge.
So Flex, we're running out of time here. Our Zoom meeting was 1 hour 30 minutes. We're almost out here. I even lost track of what time. Let's wrap up this. Let me ask you a question, not just a final question on this. Does the IEC have any plan for the media?
Well,
because the IEC should have a plan for the media.
We at Gainako have a good rapport with the IEC. We have already sent an email for accreditation from our official Gainako email. And this is being handled by the GPU. Last week we did that. We are going to follow up this week to send it to the IEC because at the press conference, they were highlighting that they haven't received any request for accreditation. And I told them, no, we had sent it because I had intentionally selected the journalists who would be working with to ensure that we have accreditation during this whole process for this election. So the issue is that for us as Gainako, I will not speak for a whole brief for the entire media fraternity. I know some of them have complained with getting access to the IEC, but we haven't had that challenge because we go there. We go there very often. And we publish some exclusive stuff. We got a list of all the political parties who are registered when there was confusion about how many parties. And that has been brought out exclusively by Gainako. When we went there, they gave it to us on the spot. When we went there and we arrived there. So we have to be fair as Gainako to the IEC. We do have a very open door policy. I did not send them a letter. I had obviously made phone calls, but I went there on the day, and on the day they gave it to me, printed it out, Sambujan.
So Flex, can you report, do you have any reports on international observers? I see that the European Union have deployed observers. Do you have any additional report as to order? I know the US used to send observers. The ECOWAS would need to send observers. Do you have any reports on international observers for the elections?
Well, at the moment, we haven't heard from them, apart from the ones which you have highlighted. So there's not much to report from them, but I'm sure coming to the nominations, which I think it's something which we need to highlight, the nominations will be conducted 30th October to 5th November from 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. daily at the election house, Burton Hardin Highway, Carnifing. So from 30th October to 5th November, that will be the period for nomination. Candidates will be allocated a time to present their nomination papers to the returning officer of the election. So there is what we have. And then they have some requirements for the nomination of a president. Do you want me to highlight them? There are about 12 of them.
Well, I mean, we have those.
We published it on
I saw on your report.
Yes.
I saw on your report that political parties are required to have a manifesto, right?
Exactly, definitely. You know, we like those kind of stuff, Demba.
Yes, we like those kind of stuff. There is still some parties that without a manifesto. What about
yeah. So
are they required to have manifestos?
I'm sure what you might see is some put together manifestos sat somewhere, which they will just publish some of them, just to qualify. But from what we know, at this current stage, the requirement to be a candidate is you need to have a manifesto. And this manifesto also must encourage the spirit of tolerance and multiculturalism. It's very important. But there are only about 4 parties which we are aware of their manifesto, that it exists. And these are the Citizens Alliance, we've seen their manifesto. UDP, their manifesto is out there. GDC, I spoke to one of their party members. They do have their manifesto. We're trying to get hold of it. The independent candidate, Banki Yao Ahadse, Banki. Understand that PDIS has one, and they haven't made it yet public, although I'm trying to track it down. So this is where we stand with the issue of manifesto. So some parties may not publicize their manifesto. They may not sell you their agenda, but they will submit it to the IEC. I'm sure of that.
So thank you very much, Flex. I think we're out of time. I don't want the recording to cut off without us finishing up. You know, I do appreciate your updates. You are doing an incredible job as usual in Gambia. Hopefully we can activate the team. Flex, just one more last thing. We saw some debates that were happening with Aruna was organizing some debates. Any idea GPU is interested in organizing any debates?
No, I don't think GPU will be getting involved in that.
What about the media commission?
No, there is a specific debates commission, political debates. It's run by one young man, Mr. Fati. So I know they probably are scheming something similar. Okay. So I think Haruna and this guy might just continue doing that. So watch the space. I think there is a commission for political debates in the country. So I will definitely keep an eye on that.
That's great. Thank you very much, Flex. I appreciate any concluding remarks. I am trying to get Dr. Jallo obviously to get on the radio, on Gainako platform to talk about exclusively the TRRC and some of his political decisions and things like that. So hopefully get him, I mean, again, as I said, it is the responsibility of the media and citizens to hold the media, to hold the institutions accountable, especially the TRRC, all these institutions. It is our responsibility. So any last words before we can go? And we'll continue doing this again for next weekend, inshallah.
Just to say a big thank you to all our listeners and our supporters. We really dearly appreciate you. And to highlight that it's another very big week. This week, all focus will be on the TRRC, the victims, and their march. It will be a build-up. I don't anticipate just one activity. We know tomorrow we will be from the Victim Center, giving you live coverage from there. From that, we will also go to the a conference organized by YMCA, which is also happening tomorrow. We have one of our reporters who is going to be there. I will be at the Victim Center. From there, I will return to the conference about elections, this coming up elections. YMCA are also under John Charles Dye. They will be having a conference with different stakeholders, civil society, security, political party leaders, also the media. So all these different facets will be brought in to talk about peaceful elections tomorrow. And I'm sure there are a lot of other activities which will be on the running. Definitely keep your ears out for Gainako. We will be starting with a bang tomorrow.
Thank you very much, Flex. Thanks again for a brilliant presentation as usual. The good work, young man. You're making an impact. Thank you very much. Again, I mean, to remind our listeners, we'll try to do this live next time, right? I mean, it's recorded today, but we'll try to do it live next time, so we can get some participants for people to participate. We're still trying to figure that out. But I'll try to get Dr. Jallo perhaps in the middle of the week, and then try to see if we can get him, to talk about, the TRRC and what's going on there. So hopefully that will bring us some. So again, Flex, thank you very much. I appreciate your participation, and I see you next week, inshallah. Okay.
Keep this going, Demba.
All right. Thank you very much, Flex. Thank you, man. I see you. Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, again, you are listening to a live interview with Flex Dan, a discussion, political discussion, obviously about the Gambia. We talked about the victims march that is scheduled for next week, Saturday, on the 16th, October 16th, and we talked about Barrow's visit to Jammeh's home in Kanilai, and we talked about some of the incredible things that are happening to our country in terms of medical issues, like the Jammeh Foundation clinic that is doing, hospital that is doing really, really well, and hopefully, and we also talked about the IEC. So again, we're gonna try to get some folks to clarify some questions on the TRRC and things like that. Again, thank you very much for watching. This is your presenter Demba Balde coming to you on Gainako Radio, Gainako platform again, with Flex Dan, the editor in chief. Thank you very much. Thank you so much. Thank you. Bye-bye.